My name is Leo Figueroa, and I am the Executive Director of the Texas Board of Legal Specialization. All of us here at TBLS share in your tremendous sense of accomplishment and pride in becoming board certified. Our mission, your mission, by becoming board certified is to promote the availability, accessibility, and quality of the services of attorneys to the public in your respective specialty areas, and to serve the public interest and advance the standards of the legal profession. There is no doubt that you will fulfill that mission with integrity and dedication. From all of us here at TBLS, congratulations on your remarkable achievement. Now it is my privilege to acknowledge and introduce to you the members of the TBLS staff who, day in and day out, keep the railroad on time, keep everything working. And although she's not here right now, she was here for our board meeting this morning, my Associate Executive Director, Odessa Bradshaw, my Member Services and Website Coordinator, Denise Schumann, Lead Certification Analyst, Priscilla Leal, Certification Analyst Brenda Martinez, and Certification Analyst Molly Galvez. Believe it or not, with just those 5 staff members, we're able to take care of everything, and they do a tremendous job. How many of you, when you took your exam, did it on a laptop? Raise your hands. Thank you. And you know, when you signed in to ExamSoft or Exemplify or whatever it was, they had a little test thing for you to just practice on before, after you signed on. And believe it or not, we capture some of the things that some of you type on that little practice thing when you initially sign on. And let me just mention a few of those that we've seen over the years. And these are all from people taking the certification exam. Here goes. I really hope that I pass the exam. I don't want to ever take a test again. Furthermore, I don't want to ever go through this again. I hate this. The last time I took any kind of test, I think, was the bar exam right after the end of the 100 Years' War in 1450. Why am I doing this? Having to come up with something witty, off the cuff, is not the easiest thing. I have real respect for comedians. All my favorites are gone. John Candy, John Belushi, Chris Farley, Robin Williams. At least we still have Steve Martin and Martin Short and Jimmy Fallon, really great guys. I hope to be as funny as they are one day. Of course, not funny on my next TBLS exam, because you can't always be sure that the grader has a sense of humor. Well, that should do it for paragraph 3. This was fun, but I hope I don't ever have to do this again. I would much rather be taking a bath right now. Ozark is calling my name. I can't wait for Game of Thrones tomorrow night. Another said, I am scared about passing this test. I don't like this. I'm scared about passing the test. I don't like this. Chocolate ice cream is better than vanilla. I think psychopaths prefer vanilla. I am here taking the mock exam for the TBLS certification test, and I think I might just throw up. Please give me credit for this paragraph. I'd like 300 points, please. And finally, if there was a test to be taken on useless knowledge, I would pass with flying colors. So needless to say, many of you have a sense of humor. Now it is my honor and privilege to introduce the chairman of TBLS, Mr. Frank Carroll. Frank Frank has been practicing law for over 40 years with 2 major national law firms and now his own law firm. The things that Frank has accomplished and achieved over that span of time is impressive indeed. I want to touch on just a few of those many accomplishments. Frank has been board certified by TBLS in civil appellate law since 1990 and civil trial law since 1992. Frank is one of less than 100 attorneys in Texas to hold those 2 particular certifications. Frank is an adjunct professor of law at his alma mater, SMU. He is also a regular faculty member for the NETA Trial Skills and Deposition Skills program. Frank's unselfish commitment to our profession is exemplified by his past service as a director of the State Bar of Texas, the Dallas Bar Association, and of course, his service on the TBLS Board of Directors, including his current role as chair of TBLS. He is a life fellow of the Texas and Dallas Bar Foundations. He's been selected as a Texas super lawyer in business litigation every year since the award began in 2003. And he's been selected as one of the best lawyers in American commercial litigation every year since 2008. With that, I give you my good friend, Frank Carroll.
Thank you, Leo, and welcome everyone. I want to join Leo in congratulating all of our inductees today. You have accomplished a great deal. I'd like to start off by introducing to you the members of the TBLS board who are here today. Not all could be here, but I will start with Mr. Alton Todd. If you would stand, if you'll hold your applause till the end. Brett Harrison, Christy Castle. I'll get it right in a minute. Chris, our newest member, Cindy Graham from Amarillo. Oh boy, it's been a long day already. Grant Shiner, Laura Sharp, Tina Amberboy, and our board liaison from the State Bar, James Jim Wu. And we are happy to have them with us. Now, we also have an honored guest who's going to be our speaker, and Leo will introduce her later. But I do want to recognize Justice Jane Bland for being here, and we look forward to hearing her speech. So if you would, join me in giving all of them a hand. I would like to call 3 of the board members up. They are going off this year, and they have served 2 3-year terms, and we're certainly going to miss their expertise and their humor and their camaraderie. So if Alton would come up, and Brett and Laura, we'd like to present you with a token of our appreciation. Laura Sharp has been on the board since 2014. This is her last year. She has been one of the most devoted and helpful members. And the most important thing about Laura is that every year Laura plans our Christmas party. And we very much appreciate that. So Laura, congratulations and thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Our second board member who is stepping off is my friend from Southeast Texas, one of the superb personal injury trial lawyers around, Mr. Alton Todd. It has always been a pleasure having him on the board because he has a fantastic sense of humor, and at the dinners he knows which wine to order too. So we're glad to have you. Congratulations, my friend, and thank you.
Thank you.
And last but not least is Brett Harrison from Tyler, Texas. He is a board-certified criminal attorney. And Brett has served since 2014 also. We hate to lose him and his expertise in that particular field. But what I most hate to lose about Brett is if you ever were at one of our Christmas parties and you saw Brett's Christmas suit. It is unbelievable. It's green and it's dotted and it's polka dotted, and he has a different one every year. So I wish we had a picture. In fact, I'm going to suggest we put one of those in the next newsletter of Brett's Christmas suit. But congratulations, my friend, and thank you for your service. All right, Leo.
The Tom Garner Award is dedicated to the memory of Tom Garner of Port Lavaca, Texas. Tom served 2 3-year terms on the TBLS board. He was vice chair for a year and chair for 2 years. He completed his TBLS service in 2002, but unfortunately and unexpectedly died a month later. Tom epitomized the best ideals of volunteer service. He was knowledgeable, dedicated, thorough, hardworking, and consistently displayed integrity. He was constantly developing ways to streamline the work of the board and the various commissions. To honor his commitment and effort, in 2002, TBLS created the Tom Garner Award to recognize a volunteer who makes noteworthy contributions to the certification program. Each year, the TBLS selects from among its volunteers an individual who best demonstrates those qualities in his or her work for TBLS. This year, we honor Troy McKinney, who best exemplifies those ideals of volunteer service. Let me just tell you a little bit about Troy. He's a named shareholder in the Houston law firm of Snyder and McKinney. He's been practicing law for 34 years. He graduated #1 in his class from South Texas College of Law in 1986. The things that Troy has accomplished and achieved since graduating law school are more than impressive. He's board certified by TBLS in criminal law and criminal appellate law. If 2 certifications weren't enough, Troy is also board certified in DUI defense by the National College of DUI Defense, and I hope I never have to call you Troy on that. I understand that Troy is the only lawyer in the state to have all 3 of those particular certifications. He's past president of the Harris County Criminal Lawyers Association, former board and executive committee member of the Texas Criminal Defense Lawyers Association, the recipient of the 2018 Irwin Taylor Lifetime Achievement Award from the National College of DUI Defense, recipient of the 2012 Lawyer of the Year Award from the Texas Criminal Defense Lawyers Association, 2017 Lawyer of the Year from the Texas DWI Defense Lawyers Association, and those are just a few of the many of Troy's many accolades over the years. But this is the thing that I'm most impressed by. Troy has tried over 300 criminal cases to verdict and handled over 260 appeals. All I can say is wow. With all of that in mind, Troy's unselfish commitment to our profession and to TBLS is all the more impressive. He served on the TBLS Criminal Law Exam Commission that writes the exam for 6 years, and he served on the TBLS Criminal Law Advisory Commission for the past 7 years. Troy, for all you have done for TBLS over the years and for what you continue to do, we are forever in your debt. It is my distinct honor and privilege to present this year's Tom Garner Award to my good friend, Troy McKinney.
Maybe I can move from Webb. I learned day before yesterday that I was supposed to say something here, so the first thing I want to say is congratulations to all of you. Obviously, those of us who've been on exam committees didn't make the test hard enough. We'll see what we do about that. I seriously hope you thought the test was challenging. I hope you thought it was hard. I hope some of you didn't think it was excessively hard, but it ought to be hard because being board certified ought to mean something. It ought to be difficult. It ought to be important. And if it's an easy test, it wouldn't mean that. I would be remiss. I serve on a lot of boards and committees and other things, and I could not spend the time giving back that way If it weren't for my wife, Kathy McKinney, putting up with me being gone a lot and doing all those things, I forgot one time in a speech to forget to recognize her, and I will never do that again. Last but not least, second to last but not least, I want to echo the sentiments a while ago. Leo and Odessa and Molly on the criminal law side and the rest of the staff at TBLS have an incredibly difficult job to do. They, just with the people, with the board and the lawyers who are on the committees, we're talking 400 to 500 lawyers. They have to deal with all those egos. Not to mention the hundreds and hundreds of additional lawyers every year who apply to be board certified and who eventually take the tests. We are all thankful we don't have to deal with that many lawyers on a regular basis. I encourage every one of you, by being board certified, you have reached greater heights than most lawyers ever will. I encourage you to give back to the profession. Spend time with your local bar associations, with state bar associations. Spend time helping young lawyers. They need our assistance, they need our education, they need our learning. So spend time with them, give back, and help make this profession a better place. Thank you all.
Our next item is the John F. Sheehy Jr. Distinguished Attorney Award, dedicated to the memory of John F. Sheehy Jr. from Waco, who died last year. The interesting thing, among many others, about Mr. Sheehy, he sat for the TBLS exam in 3 real estate specialty areas, residential, commercial, and farm and ranch, when he was 60 years old, and he passed all 3 exams. So that's who this award is named for, and it's given by the board of directors to attorneys who have been certified by TBLS for more than 25 years, have been committed to serving the public and advancing the standards of the legal profession, that have been committed to our justice system and have been the epitome of outstanding professional ethics, civility, and personal integrity. I would like to introduce former State Bar President Tom Vick, who will be presenting this award. And Tom Vick is a partner in the Weatherford law firm of Vick Carney. He's a graduate of the South Texas College of Law in 1981. He's been practicing law for almost 40 years. He's been board certified in family law by TBLS since 1987. He's served on the State Bar Board of Directors and the Texas Access to Justice Commission. He's served as president, as I indicated, of the State Bar of Texas from 2017 to 2018. He's served as president of both the Texas Academy of Family Law Specialists and the Texas chapter of the American Academy of Matrimonial Lawyers, and as chair of the State Bar of Texas Family Law Section. Tom Vick will be presenting this next John F. Sheehy Award, and it's my distinct privilege to introduce him.
The highest award in Texas family law is the Sam Emerson Award, given at the annual dinner of the Texas Academy of Family Law Specialists every year. When it was awarded to Brian, he thanked his colleagues, his mentors. He thanked Kay Redburn. This is difficult. Kay was his paralegal and was his right hand until he died. And then Brian, Brian said this. He said, all my friends are lawyers, and all my best friends are family lawyers. It was true. Brian spent nearly half of his life working to make family law better for every Texan and making the practice of family law better for Texas lawyers. We are all beneficiaries of his work. When you read his bio in the program, what lies beneath that is an obvious commitment to the law and to our profession. But what is not obvious is that he spent all of his waking hours going to committee meetings, task force meetings, council meetings, all over the state and all over the country. One of the reasons that the family bar is so collegial is because he dragged all of us along with him, and we all became great, great friends. The other byproduct of that is that almost all of us who have children have lawyers for children, and all those children lawyers all know each other. And Brant and Natalie, his two kids, both lawyers, are here with us today. As Leo said, the hallmarks of this award is a commitment to serving the public, advancing the standards of the profession, outstanding ethics and civility, and Brian checked all those boxes. Brian represented the titans of commerce and industry in Dallas. He represented major sports figures. He represented virtually a who's who of Dallasites in the process of their family law matters. But he also had a heart for the least, the lost, and the last. And he was committed to pro bono. He worked with DVAP and he worked with the family law section to make sure every person who needed a lawyer got a lawyer. And he served our profession working in TBLS as well. He first helped to write the exam and grade the exam. Fortunately for you guys, none of the exams you took today. And then later in his life, he wanted to be on this board because he realized that there was a problem at TBLS, and that is some of the requirements that we had to sit for the exam had become outdated. The practice of law has changed over the decades, and some of the standards to sit for this exam just weren't fair anymore. Brian absolutely believed that a rising tide lifts all boats, and that all of us benefit by board certification and board certified lawyers. Our clients benefit, our profession benefits, and he wanted to be a part of that. And so to the extent he worked with Leo and this board to help rewrite some of those requirements to take this test, you are the beneficiaries of that. I would hope that as you start this new chapter in your lives, that you will make a commitment to be professional, to be civil, to be ethical, to be prepared, and to be collegial. In other words, be like Brian. It's my distinct pleasure then to award to Brant and Natalie the Sheehy Award for this year.
Congratulations, that is well deserved. Serving with Brian for the last 3 years was a true pleasure, and he was a real gentleman. It is now my honor to introduce our keynote speaker for today, Justice Jane Bland. She's board certified in civil trial law and civil appellate law. She serves as a liaison, as I said earlier, to the TBLS board, the Judicial Commission on Mental Health, and deputy liaison to the Court's Rules Advisory Committee. She served at 3 levels of the judiciary in the state of Texas, having been elected by Texas voters 5 different times. She was appointed to the Supreme Court in 2019 by Governor Greg Abbott. In 2010, Chief Justice John Roberts presented Justice Bland with the William H. Rehnquist Award, given to a state court judge exemplifying the highest levels of judicial excellence, integrity, fairness, and professional ethics. She was also named Appellate Judge of the Year in 2007 and 2015, and Trial Judge of the Year in 2003 by the Association of Civil Trial and Appellate Specialists. It is my distinct honor and privilege to introduce introduce Justice Jane Lynn.
Thank you, Chairman Carroll and Mr. Figueroa. I prefer vanilla, not chocolate. I'm just delighted to be here this afternoon to celebrate this moment with all of you. As a profession that is dedicated to solving problems and resolving conflict, our lives as lawyers are about decisions, our own and those we advise our clients about. How we frame the choices we face and the time we take to consider these choices can make all the difference. And in recent years, we have learned a lot about how humans make decisions. Lots of economic theories in the last half of the 20th century used what became known as the rational choice theory. The idea was that individuals who were faced with an economic choice would make rational decisions for their own best possible outcome given enough information and time. And in fact, a man named Gary Becker won the Nobel Prize in 1992 for his study that applied rational choice theory to aspects of human behavior. And we all know that's certainly what rational people want to do, make decisions with the best possible outcome, including us and our clients. But in 2015, another man, Richard Thaler, also won the Nobel Prize in economics based on his work that demonstrates that people, including economists themselves, do not always make rational decisions. All they needed to do was ask a lawyer. But nevertheless, Mr. Thaler won the Nobel Prize. He also told the Nobel audience that he planned to spend his Nobel Prize money as irrationally as possible. And if you want to find out how he spent it, you can listen to a podcast called Freakonomics, and they have an interview with Richard Thaler. He built his work on decision-making from the work of two Israeli scientists, Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky, who were pioneers in identifying common flaws in decision-making. And Michael Lewis wrote a book about them. It's called The Undoing Project, and it's a much less known book by Michael Lewis. He's the author that wrote Moneyball, and The Big Short, and The Blind Side. So you've probably heard of one or more of those, but you may not have heard of The Undoing Project. But it's a really interesting read for lawyers. So a whole field of studies developed about decision-making called neuroscience. It was almost a non-field, 30, 40, 50 years ago, and now it's a gigantic field. And I know many lawyers in this audience have learned a little bit about neuroscience in the hope of helping their clients make better decisions, helping juries make better decisions, helping judges make better decisions. So neuroscientists have identified some flaws in human decision-making. For example, they talk about something called the endowment effect. That means that people, even economists, who know better, who have been told about the endowment effect, will place more value on what they have than on what they don't, even if the thing they don't have has equal or greater value. So they put a whole bunch of economists in a room like this and gave half of them really nice Swiss chocolate bars that had the exact same value as a coffee mug. Half got a coffee mug, half got a chocolate bar. And then they were told, if you want to, you can trade your chocolate bar for a coffee mug. Well, interestingly enough, the people that had chocolate bars preferred to keep their chocolate bars. The people that had coffee mugs preferred to keep their coffee mugs. In other words, what you had, you placed a higher value on than what you might trade it for. Similarly, there's the idea of setting the default or the default option. Those are the decisions that take effect when the decision maker does nothing. So we don't like to recognize it, but when we do nothing, we're making a decision. But because it doesn't use as much cognitive energy, doing nothing tilts the outcomes for our choices and influences our behavior. And you see this in organ donation. That's a pretty common example people use. While large majorities of Americans approve of organ donation, for example, only about a quarter have consented to donate their own organs. By contrast, nearly all Austrians, French, and Portuguese have consented to donate theirs. The default choice explains the difference. In the United States, people must choose to become an organ donor. In much of Europe, people must choose not to donate. It's part of why Richard Thaler won the Nobel Prize, because he was the one that recognized that merely by having people have to opt out of contributing to their 401k plan rather than opt in, millions more people would contribute to their future retirement. And it turned out to be true. They say that there are trillions of dollars more in 401k plans today, based in part on Richard Thaler's work asking companies and others that have 401k plans to make people opt out of contributing rather than opt in. So, and it's why Google, for example, pays Mozilla hundreds of millions of dollars a year to have Google be the default search engine on Firefox for Firefox users. People gravitate to the status quo in part because it's a course of action that requires little in the way of cognitive effort. And even when we try to do something different than the status quo, we often resort to heuristic shortcuts or rules of thumb to make decisions. Trial and error is a universal one. How many of you have told your children that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result? How many of you told yourself that? Trial and error is an example of a heuristic that eases our cognitive load by helping us to make quick decisions and reducing the complexity of the information that we have to its essence. So why do I say all this in connection with your tremendous professional accomplishment that we celebrate today? For two reasons, one individual and one for our profession. In economic terms, one micro and one macro. First, the micro. At the level of skill and accomplishment you have achieved, your advice to clients and arguments to courts often carry greater consequences. Decision-making architecture based on cognitive shortcuts can be faulty. A judge overlooks a factual distinction and jumps to a formulaic result when she should have seen the facts differently and made a different decision. A lawyer anchors his advice to the most memorable piece of information, disregarding a less interesting but more relevant fact, and places his client at a loss to consider the entire picture. A court commits to a questionable line of authority by discussing only the cases that confirm that course, reaching a result no different than following a GPS device into a lake. We see these fault lines writ large in some cases, where a defendant is convicted based on suggestive identification procedures and is later exonerated, where people continue to be injured because in-house counsel has failed to disclose or adequately consider adverse data in advising whether to recall a product, where a federal judge dismisses hundreds of cases because an expert reaches beyond available science to support his opinion, unchecked by the lawyer. A decisional shortcut to use Google instead of Bing or some other search engine plays out on a home computer, but the consequences of a bad legal decision can play out across society. Staying alert to fault lines in thinking and decision-making will hopefully lead to better, more informed decisions in the increasingly complicated matters you handle as a board-certified lawyer. And for the macro, Legal defaults become principles that govern our conduct throughout society. We need talented, ethical lawyers guiding our legal rules and our legal decisions. Those lawyers do not flower like red buds on a beautiful spring day like today. Instead, they are sculpted through the people they work with and learn from people like your outgoing board members, including Alton Todd, and your award winners today, your dad, and Mr. McKinney. And Mr. Todd and Mr. McKinney are from Houston. I've had the incredible privilege of seeing their excellent advocacy at work. We need you, a community of people who cultivate standards of excellence and model them for others. Foster collegiality even in adversity of opinion or circumstance, and who confront your own weaknesses in a continuing effort to better yourself and the profession. I look around this room at all of you who have passed the board certification exam and can confidently say that you are better lawyers than you think you are. And I realize that for some of you, that's a high bar. You think to yourself, how do I make better decisions? What is my profession asking of me? Finally, our human side is just as important as our rational side. The same year that Richard Thaler won the Nobel Prize in Economics, another man, Kazuo Ishiguro, a British man with a Japanese name, won the prize in literature for his exploration of the deceptively simple importance of human connectedness. Two of his most famous works are The Remains of the Day and Never Let Me Go. In the former, a nearly perfect butler loses his way because he never stops to develop meaningful relationships, and he realizes his mistake only late in life. All that bantering that we do with each other as lawyers means something. In the latter, a dystopian community, it's a lot more popular with young people, the other being more popular with older people. The other book is a dystopian community where they define what it is to be human. The two books are as different as night and day, but they show us what humanity is and why it matters. And as perfect as your decision-making might be, it cannot and should not be untethered from your humanity. It's what helps us make our clients make good decisions and have the crucial conversations that we need to have with them. It's also what, in my mind, is going to keep artificial intelligence from ever replacing lawyering. So decades ago, I gave a speech to board-certified trial and appellate lawyers in Houston, and my children were young at the time, and we were reading Robert Louis Stevenson's Treasure Island. I described the members of the audience as my sailor heroes, like the adventurers in Treasure Island. And it's no different today. I still watch with awe what you accomplish in your courts and for your clients. I still hope that all of the good and excellent things that you model gradually sink into me. You're there to set the You're there to set the default for me and for so many other lawyers and judges. So thank you for this, and congratulations on your hard-earned achievement in becoming board certified. And if those of you who are ready, I have the oath to administer to swear you in as board certified members of the bar. You gonna have everybody come up, or?
No, I think we're going to read off the names and stuff before we swear.
Okay, sorry, we gotta read everybody's name off first, sorry.
Thank you, Justice Blatt. We appreciate it very, very, very much. Thank you. All right, we're going to read off the names of all of the lawyers who have, and legal assistants who have passed the certification exam. As you have already noticed, I made a mess of my colleagues' names, so don't expect too much here in getting these right either, but I will do my best. I apologize in advance if I mispronounce anyone's name. And we'll call it by areas of specialization. Administrative law, and if you will, stand when I call your name and remain standing. If you'll hold your applause till the end, and then we'll give everyone a big round of applause. Administrative law, Jonathan David Stone. Business bankruptcy law, Erin Elizabeth Jones. Child welfare law, Stephanie Lynn Adams. Kay Martin Alderman. Joshua Frank Andor. Catherine Noel Argabright. Dennis Paul Ariaga. Bryce Wayne Bedford. Leslie Jean Capace. Deanna Lynn Carlson. Pamela Denise Ferguson. Elaine Marie Gaffney. Faye Gordon. Tamika LaShawn Jones Abendroth. Amanda Elizabeth Lockhart. Stephanie Lynn Logue. Amy Aline Lures. Piper McGraw. William Drake McKeska. Lori Peterson Perez. Stephanie J. Profit. April Renee Post. Belinda Jean Roberts. Douglas M. Robertson. Lee Matthews Rodriguez. Sarah Capra Seltzer. Jeffrey Randall Shelton. Amelia Beth Strickling. Christine Rosetta Thrash. Civil Appellate Law. Andrew Benjamin Bender. Jennifer Renee Brannon. Kirk Michael Cooper. Cassie Jordan. Matthew James Greer. Heidi Jean Gumini. Elizabeth Gary Hill. Mia Bro Lorick. Jeremy Charles Martin. Michelle Rose Miriam. Robert Tresh Owen. Jennifer King Points. Jillian Lee Shoemaker. Civil Trial Law, Joseph J. Mastro Giovanni. Lisa Marie Norman. Justin Brett Struther. Commercial Real Estate Law, Arika Tawana Campbell. Andrew Paul Getz. Jason Patrick Gorman. Christopher Nicholas Hanno. Sarah Rebecca Sadie Harrison Fincher. Tony Kuo. Cassandra Marie McGarvey. Christopher H. Moore. Gregory A. Richardson. Breeden Alejandro Roycraft. Jessica Ray Sangzong. Catherine Odom Sermus. Murray Houston Van Eman. Richard Daniel Weaver. Construction Law. Angela Agnes Lee Connor. Edward Slayton Cox. Stephanie Smith Harrison. Stephen Michael Hines. Joshua Walsh Marmus. James Stephen Richards. Danielle Nicole Sen. Natalie S. Sheeden. Matthew Mark Waterman. Joshua John White. Alan Vance Wilson. Consumer and Commercial Law, Ryan Michael Marquez. Criminal Appellate Law, Stephen Patrick Ballantine. Jason Travis Benioff. Jacob Austin Blizzard. Brett Ewan Ordaway. John Bradford Setterbutter. Criminal Law, Claire Morneau Andreessen. Brennan Dewey Brady. Stephen Todd Brand. Chad E. Bridges. Christina Mitchell Busby. Roberto Canas. Dorian Claude Koppler. Daniel Patrick Cox. Michael Crawford. Tonda L. Curry. Ryan Herbert Deck. Jacqueline Hagan Doyer. Travis John Dunlap. Woodrow Jennings Halstead. Matthew Bryant Howard. Catherine Michelle Cale. Alejandro Macias. Randolph Scott McGee. Brian Poe. Joshua Adam Reese. Jeffrey Allen Swain. Bradley Hines Thornton. John Brant Thorson. Kyle Johnston Watkins. Estate Planning and Probate Law, Craig Allen Bishop. Christopher Lord Cairns. John William Connor. Levi Matthew Dillon. James Philip Dossie. Claire Dinsmore East. Benjamin Adam Fedorka. Emily Rebecca Franco. Thomas Austin Horton. Robert John Hugos. Adam Richard Hyman. Hillary Hasrick Lane. Alex Lee Longoria, Andrew Guthrie Middleton, David Leland Morris, Joel Norris, Carissa Marie Peterson, Robert Sean Rainey, Aaron James Schutt, Carolyn Shakere Starr, I'm sorry, I know I missed that one, Ellen Pearson Stewart, Amy Ann, Family Law, Amy Ann Banks, Chad Dwayne Bradshaw, Daniel James Clanton, Aaron Ray Clegg, Aaron Michael Culp, Paul Gregory Daly, Misty Linnell Dennis, Carly Autumn Gallagher Murray, Abigail O'Boyle Gregory, Allison Travers Hamilton, Krista Balakian Hayes, John Daniel Cannon, Jacob Cole Jeffries, Jill Leah Dworkin Johnston, Helena Kovacevic, Robert Ian Kuhn, Rachel D. Lee, Lindsay Ray Obenhaus, Chad Allen Olson, Christine Michelle Berkeley Fawn, Jessica Ann Phillips, Grady Reef, Ryan Harris Siegel, Matthew Allen Skiller, Jessica Kazanavi Skinner, Ilana Rebecca Tanner, Charlene White Valdez, John Withers, Cheryl-Ann Wolf, Alicia Franklin York. Farm and Ranch Real Estate Law, Cody Grant Henson. Health Law, Stephen Matthew Angeletti, Dale Wade Emmert, Jennifer Staten Creek, Evangeline Olga Leyland Goss, Lisa Michelle Prather, Jennifer Ann Schroeder, Robert Levering Spurk. Immigration and Nationality Law, Andrea Melissa Saunders Aguilar, Leslie Gabriella Giron, Julietta Andrea Griffin-Field, Lisette Lefebvre Martinez. Juvenile Law, Patrick Keith Gendron, Jacqueline Hare Valdez. Labor and Employment Law, Lisa Poole Alcantar, Taylor Leanne Kilway Appling, Camille Antoinette Avant, Evan Christopher Blankenau, Thomas Newton Kamak, Katie Grace Chatterton, Kimberly Francis Cheeseman, Carrie Lowe Curtis, Eric Paul Dama, Amber Kathleen Dodds, John Earl Duke, Adam Christian Gutman, Danielle K. Herring, Austin Harris Kaplan, Modinat Abiodun Cotun, Luke Christopher McDowell, Jamila Shakura Nelson Mensa, Holly Marie Roberts Narcisse, Jennifer Megan Nyland, Kelsey Lee Palmer, Hannah Penley Parks, Javier Alejandro Perez Afanador, Stephen Jose Quesada, Nandina Kavuri Sign, Adam Hugh Sensenbaugh, Heather Lynn Sherrod, Courtney Lee Stahl. Oil and Gas and Mineral Law, Frank Parks Brown, Robert Green Hargrove, U.V. Jones, Ryan Matthew Lambert, Brian David Lauer, Jasper Mason, Matthew Ryberg Morrison, Zachariah Paul Patton, Christopher Taylor Shannon, Tony Brenton Simmons Smith, Ethan Morris Wood. Personal Injury Trial Law, Byron Craig Alfred, Dominic Michael Vincent Browse, Matthew Malachi Dawes, Jessica Foss, Michael Stephen Francis, Eric Todd Freemeyer, Kimberly Hemingway Kearns, Mackenzie Boyd Linyard, Robert Michael Melendez, Michael Lawrence Orth, Carson Reed Runge, Matthew Sersley, Raymond Daniel Story, Christopher Edward Story, Ryan Squires, Larry Matthew Waldron Wassmiller. Property Owner Association Law, Christopher James Archambault, Cecilia S. Flowers, Sarah Beth Gertis, Jane Wells Janicek, William C. Lipsy, Grant Robert Niedenfuhrer, Dean Arden Riddle, Roberto Armando Saldana, Eric Brendan Tonstel. Residential Real Estate Law, Cody Grant Henson, John Charles Johnson, Tony Kuo, Cassandra Marie McGarvey, Joshua Clay Pearson, Breton Alejandro Rycroft. Tax Law, Douglas Cowan, Miserio, David Scott Hansen, Robert Leah Wilson, Workers' Comp Law, Douglas H. Maddox, Alexandra Beatty Shear, Armanda Jean Spencer. Our paralegal inductees for civil trial law, Andrea Clark and Deborah Woltersdorf. Criminal law, Nicole Cloutier. Family law, Emily Andrews, Carson Arkinson, Rodney Bernal, Angelica Bourne, Andrea Berger, April Castro Cruz, Kathy Frazier, Catherine Hinojosa, Kathy Melendez, Miranda Miller, Tina Pena, Natalie Roberts, Melissa Skillern, Susan Smith, Jolie Sterrett, Jordan Thomas, Ashley Ryan Teig, Gabrielle Warner, and Cynthia Reed. For personal injury trial law, Jessica Foss, Lauren Grantham, Gina Landingham, Amanda Leclerc, Morgan Newman, Elizabeth Quattrocillo, and Tove Sebring. Would you please join me in giving them a big round of applause? Justice Bland, if you'll come up. Justice Bland, on behalf of the Texas Board of Legal Specialization, I certify these attorneys and paralegals have satisfied all certification requirements and now present them for the administration of the oath.
All right, please raise your right hand. I state your name. Do solemnly swear or affirm that I have met all requirements for certification established by the Texas Board of Legal Specialization, and I agree to comply with all requirements for my continued certification. I recognize my duty to follow the provisions of the Texas disciplinary rules of professional conduct, the provisions of the Texas Lawyers Creed, and the rules of all courts before whom I appear. And I pledge to continue to work to improve the administration of justice. Congratulations.
For some brief remarks, I'd like Sylvester Palacios, who is the account supervisor and media specialist with Pierpont Communications, to talk just briefly about marketing your new certification. Sylvester.
Thank you, Leo. My name is Sylvester Palacios, and I'm with Pierpont Communications. We are one of the largest PR, marketing, and digital firms independently owned in Texas. And we have worked with TBLS for almost 10 years now. And we have helped to establish and grow the board-certified brand alongside TBLS, and that's why I'm here today. You guys are newly board-certified, and I'm here to help you to establish your own personal brand. So me and my colleague Amy West will be here for a few minutes after the ceremony to help answer any questions in terms of leveraging your board certification for PR and marketing. Thank you very much, and congratulations to you all.
Again, congratulations to all of our attorneys and paralegals on your tremendous achievement in becoming board certified. Along with your family, friends, and colleagues, we at TBLS share in the joy of your accomplishment. The induction ceremony is now concluded, and you are invited to join us in the pre-function space just outside the doors for hors d'oeuvres and refreshments. And finally, don't forget to take, that you can have your photos taken outside in the pre-function space as well. The headshots are complimentary. The portraits from the event will be available online in the next week or so, and we will email you a link to those photos. Thank you again for being here. Congratulations.